Welcome to another episode of Sensational Customer Experiences. This is the show where we explore the idea that everything your customer knows about you is a direct result of input from their five senses. It's what they see, hear, taste, smell, and touch that determines how much they love you. And now here's your host and consumer experience expert, Wes Miller.
It's a spooky night at Sensational Customer Experiences, the podcast where we explore sensory experiences for your customer. And tonight, you're my customer, and it's a spooky sensory kind of night. Welcome to the Halloween edition of Sensational Customer Experiences. And have we got a show lined up for you tonight? I could not be more excited than to introduce my guest tonight, who is here from the voiceover radio production world, and he's here to perform for us tonight. But first, he's going to tell us a little bit about some insight to what we need to know about sound and audio and all these sensory aspects that go with audio. My guest tonight, Mr. Robert Crandall.
Hello, Wes.
Thank you so much for being here.
Well, nice of you to have me.
So Robert does this show called Adventures in Audio, where he narrates Edgar Allan Poe stories as well as other horror stories in general, and he's up to 88 episodes.
Yes, 88 episodes of my podcast. Right?
Yeah, so if you love horror, you love Edgar Allan Poe, and I know a couple of you out there that I specifically have invited to this episode do love Edgar Allan Poe, this is the episode for you. I can't wait to get started. Let's start with, Robert, tell me, how did you get started in the whole voiceover audio technology, audio production world and business?
Okay, well, I started in radio a long time ago. And I mean, we can count decades, okay? And I spent many years in that. I've been in and out of it all my life. And I had an advertising agency for about 3.5 years that I produced radio commercials for people. I was also on the air personality and pretty high ratings and did some different kind of things that I fortunately had a program director that allowed me to do some creative things. Where most of the time in that business, it's pretty tightly formatted and you're not allowed to do much creative. So I've been doing this kind of thing with audio most of my life. And I love podcasting for the freedom that it gives me. I love narrating these short stories. I love getting into the story and try to make it something that will captivate the listener. And I was talking with you earlier about a group called Firesign Theater. Maybe some of your listeners from back in the 70s have heard of this group. If not, I highly recommend anybody, they're on YouTube, to listen to what they do. And we used to listen back in the 70s to their albums. And you could not get up from listening to them until it was over. And yeah, it's true, we were high at that time. But you are so included in that story, and their stories go in and out and so forth. They go from one plot to another. It's just amazing. And so every time I do a podcast, I want to deliver it in such a way that the listener is connected to it and cannot leave it until it's over. And that is my challenge, and that is where I try to act the characters, or if it's just a narrator doing a story, try to make it convincing or genuine, so that they stay focused and listen to the entire thing. So I go to great lengths to make sure I pronounce a word right. A lot of words I have to look up because I'm doing stories that have words that aren't used anymore in the English language. And I'm going, how do I pronounce that? What's the best way? And so, I'm doing a lot of looking things up and trying to get it right. What's he trying to say in this sentence? And there are times I don't understand why are they saying, what does this mean? So I have to really learn the story, and I try to find other audio versions of a story and sometimes I can find it and listen to how they do it, just for kind of help me understand the story. Sometimes I just don't get this. And I can't read it if I don't get it. And so I do a lot of stuff like that. My editing takes hours. I lay down a raw track. I have a software that allows me to do which is a feature called punch and roll, where you can record, and if you make a mistake, instead of having to go back and actually edit and cut the mistake out, you can go back to where the mistake at the beginning of the mistaken word, can punch record. The cursor goes back 3 seconds because I timed it to go back 3 seconds, plays back what I just recorded, and then starts to record where the mistake is, and I can do the mistake again. The advantage of that is when it's done, I don't have to go back and do any pickups and takeouts and stuff like that.
So you're really dedicated to quality.
Yeah, absolutely.
And putting a quality in, and then learning how to utilize technology to support that commitment to quality.
Right.
Do you see that in the general corporate world today, that kind of commitment to quality? Or
yes, and some things I think I do. There's a company, and I don't know if I should mention any names, give them a free commercial, but I just bought some in-ear headphones or monitors because I goofed and blew out my headset, kind of like you're wearing. Made a mistake, and I turned the master gain up on my mixer all the way, and then played something, and it blew them out. They're destroyed.
So what are the new ones you got? We'll give them a plug.
Well, it's from a company that's been around for many years called Shure, which is spelled S-H.
Yes, I've seen them.
You've seen them.
Yes.
I think anybody in podcasting has seen them there. Yeah, when I got into radio, their microphones were just everywhere. Almost every station had a Shure microphone. And I thought at that time that's all they did. Maybe it was at that time, but now they do headphones, and I think they make speakers. I'm not sure, but they have.
Interesting.
But
a couple of weeks ago we were talking, and you were telling us about the time it takes to produce retail quality audio.
Yes.
Tell me more about that, or tell our listeners. I was fascinated by some of the numbers that you threw out and some of the processes that you described about that.
Right. In the audiobook world, the rule of thumb is 6 to 10 hours of production work for one finished hour of quality audio, which is also known as retail ready.
And why does it take so long? That seems like a long time.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it down to that.
Okay, so you're not that. How long does it take you to produce an hour?
Oh gosh, I got probably 10 hours in the one I'm in now, but I take a lot of breaks too. I'm kind of lazy, and I have some bad habits.
So that's not just 6 to 8 hours of work, and that's some fun thrown in there too.
Yeah, well,
some
for
breaks
me, but for just straight working, and it's 6 to 10 hours because you have to take out every little mistake, and that's why this punch and roll saves a lot of time. And then what I do is I export it from that, but I take mine from the punch and roll raw recording, and I put it into a program called Adobe Audition. In here, I have to take out every single little mouth click. Your mouth is tremendously noisy. Most of us can't hear, but when you have pristine earbuds or whatever, it can't be in there. An audiobook producer will not allow it. They'll kick it back to you or fire you or whatever. If that's your work, we're not interested in you. So there's all these little noises too. My nose makes, I have to drink, I have to take nose drops in my nose and get it all completely, the passages completely as open as I can. And I have bad sinuses because it makes little what I call burrs. It's like a burr in a saddle. Yeah, it's just a little deep thump, and they're tough to get out. Real tough.
So this is really like serious prep, serious commitment to quality and smallest detail.
Yes.
So as you listen, are you a fan of, and I heard you talk about the group from the 70s. Mm-hmm. What was the group again?
Firesign Theater.
So Firesign Theater, so you're a fan of theirs.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a fan of any other individuals or groups that you think do this quality of sound and narration? And
Yes. And what got me started on this podcast, I was thinking of doing a podcast, and I had some subjects, like baseball was one, because I'm a baseball fan. I had a podcast when podcasting first started on off-roading. I didn't want to do that again. I thought real estate, because at one time I was in real estate, I'm not anymore. What am I going to do? And I was on YouTube one day, I think just listening to a favorite song, and I saw along the right-hand column Vincent Price and the Telltale Heart. And I said, oh my God, I have to listen to that, because I love Vincent Price. God, is he amazing. And I listened to that, and he's amazing, and he's my...
So he's kind of your hero.
Yeah, he's the go-to, how to do it, how do you read this? I go see if Vincent Price has done it. And he's just incredibly, just amazing, yeah. He does what I'm trying to do, at least with me. If I'm listening to him, I can't stop until it's over, until it's completed. I can't stop listening to it. Because he's everywhere, draws you in, and it's just incredible. And that's what I want to achieve.
So that's your goal.
Yeah. With every episode is to read it in a manner that they can't stop until it's over. How much of that I'm doing, I have no idea. But while I'm doing it, that I don't know.
Is that something you would be willing to do for us tonight?
I could read something, yeah.
Yeah. It's a spooky Halloween
thing, yeah.
And what would you like to share with us?
Well, speaking of the Telltale Heart, I did that on, I think, episode 7 or maybe 6. Geez, that's a long time ago, because I'm going to be doing number 88. So that was 2015, I think. Geez, I've been doing this 3 years on this podcast. It's amazing. So what I want to do is a different revised read. The one I have is kind of like, what'd you call it? Neurotic, where somebody's like, oh, I did this. Oh, my God. Oh. That's the kind of read I did on that one. I want to do it differently, a more subdued, reflective read, and still try to bring some wretchedness and evil. I don't know if I can do that. We can give it a shot.
Well, I would be most honored to have you share on this show your revised reading of The Telltale Heart.
The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe. True, nervous, very, very dreadfully nervous I had been and am. But why will you say that I am mad? The disease had sharpened my senses, not destroyed them, not dulled them. Above all was the sense of hearing acute. I heard all the things in heaven and in the earth. I heard many things in hell. How then am I mad? Hearken and observe how healthily, how calmly I can tell you the whole story. It is impossible to say how first the idea entered my brain, but once conceived, it haunted me day and night. Object there was none. Passion there was none. I loved the old man. He had never wronged me. He had never given me insult. For his gold, I had no desire. I think it was his eyes. His eye. Yes, it was this. One of his eyes resembled that of a vulture, a pale blue eye with a film over it. Whenever it fell upon me, my blood ran cold. And so by degrees, very gradually, I made up my mind to take the life of the old man, and thus rid myself of the eye forever.
I could just sense your being pulled into the story. What has to happen for you to get ready to do that?
A lot of times, I have a dim light in my studio. It's an orange-colored light, so it makes the whole studio kind of that color. And when I'm ready, I'm just reading it over. I'm sitting there in that kind of light that kind of relaxes me and helps me focus. But then when I get ready to record, I turn on the overhead light so that I can see with complete accuracy what I'm doing. But I'm in the mood, and
so you really take some time beforehand to plan and prepare.
Yeah.
That's a great message for people when you think about the experiences that they want to create for customers. Mm-hmm. Is what do you do to plan and prepare? I think sometimes people just kind of shoot from the hip and they kind of hope for the best.
Right.
But you're describing, preparation and planning and forethought and getting the lighting right, just to set your mood and your tone for the experience. That's right. Very, very insightful.
So that's what I go through on each story. I'm constantly, daily, I'm looking for stories. What am I going to do next? And sometimes, this sounds good. I don't know. I have to read it. So sometimes I read a story and I get, no, I don't want to do that one.
Just doesn't resonate.
No. Just doesn't. I can't do that one. And I have a couple of stories like that of Edgar Allan Poe, who of course I admire and is, my core author, I guess you would say. And there's a couple of stories he has. One of them I just can't do. It's too boring in the beginning of it. The end of it the beginning of it's like a love story, and the end of it's like a tragedy, and that you can bring it. But I don't know if people will wait through the lengthy beginning, or if they'll just get bored and turn it off.
So, what is your favorite Edgar Allan Poe story?
Well, The Telltale Heart, of course, The Black Cat, very tragic story about alcoholism. Guy murders his wife and his cat. And, he puts an axe through her head, so it gets a little gruesome. It's all because of drinking. There's The Pit and the Pendulum, The Premature Burial, The Mask of the Red Death. All these. And which one's my favorite? I don't know. Unless it would be The Telltale.
It's hard to pick just one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely impossible almost.
I know you do some other horror stories. Do you have another author that you takes second place?
Well, H.P. Lovecraft, who kind of took Edgar Allan Poe's place, in the 19th century. But he got off on a little more paranormal than Poe did, and does some very strange things. And the episode I'm working on and going to publish tonight is an episode by H.P. Lovecraft.
Jenny the Greek has just joined us.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, everyone. It's my favorite holiday. What's everyone going to be for Halloween?
You're enough costume for everybody. So
I have a question for Bob.
Okay.
May I?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just want to say I love how much you respect linguistics and how much of a perfectionist you are in terms of making sure that you do enunciate correctly and pronounce the words correctly, and then also to get the spirit of the story correct so that you can deliver it with the right vocal variety and the right pitch and the right enthusiasm. So I just wanted to compliment you on that, and I do enjoy your podcast very much. I need to listen to more episodes. But here's my question. It's actually more of a professional question. Have you ever experienced an a negative audio sensory experience that you've had?
Sure. In fact, what you described happened today. I went into a restaurant, and I was just curious about their food. And as I walked in, I knew that this might not be so good because the music was loud. And you got in, and as they're ordering, the music wasn't quite as loud inside as it was out. I ordered, and I ate. I didn't take it to go because it was quite a ways from home. So I ate it there, and the music was just awful. And the food was good, but the experience was dreadful.
So that being said, do you have any advice for business owners to make sure the sound in their store or the sound in their restaurant is at a welcoming volume in terms of keeping comfortable sound levels in their facility?
Well, they should be aware of fan noise, air conditioning noises of cash register or wherever the transaction is, or I think it's important. You bring up something that there's a bar in Las Vegas here. It's very well known, and they have pretty good food. I like their brats. I go in there, and I remember last time I was in there, and the sound is like busy, and there's a lot of people. It's not overly, it's not overwhelming. It just sounds real busy, like there's all kinds of people everywhere. And I look around, but there's not that many people here. And I wondered, are they generating that sound? Because that sound may motivate a person to stay longer. If, I guess, what I'd say, a bar person maybe. I don't go to bars much. Do some karaoke once in a while, or to eat and then go. But I wonder if there's a strategy there, because it's not overpowering, like I said, but it just didn't fit. There wasn't enough people in that bar to be making that much noise, and I should say sound, because noise sounds negative, because it wasn't negative. I didn't feel uncomfortable. I sat and ate, but I just don't think there was that many people in there. And I've wondered about that ever since. So, yeah, there's a lot for a business to think about. Sound can make a person feel very welcome and want to stay longer, or it can drive them out and you'll never see them again.
I want to point out that Jenny has a show. Why don't you tell everyone about your show?
Well, everyone, my show is called Beer Talk Radio, and it is a podcast about craft beer and all things related to craft beer, and particularly the lives of those who work in the hospitality industry, the nightlife industry, the culinary industry, or any other sales or brewing that there could possibly be out there. I do interviews with chefs. I do interviews with bartenders, home brewers, sales representatives, master brewers. So if you guys are interested in the show, my website is www.beertalkradio.net. And I am also available for voiceover work, also available for editing work, particularly podcasts.
So this has been quite the Halloween party here tonight. Part of what we do in every episode is I always ask a fun sensory question. And since it's Halloween, I have to ask this question. I'm going to ask both of you this question. Ooh. So I want both of you to chime in on it. And that is, what was your favorite Halloween costume that you wore, that you went to a party in?
The doctor.
You went as a doctor?
Yes. I went every year. This club I was in, I went every year as a doctor, and they called me Dr. Bob. And that's what everybody called me. Yeah. I had the white smock and a little hypodermic needle stuff. Stick people in the arm, and then you draw it back, and the red thing comes up like you're taking blood out of them and stuff. And I had a mask too, but it was too hot and I couldn't breathe. Most of the time I didn't wear it, but it was fun.
So Dr. Bob.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and how about you, Jenny?
Well, I have to let you guys know Halloween is a holiday I take extremely seriously, and not only do I have one costume idea every year, I generally have two. I like to have a G-rated costume and an NC-17 rated costume. Wes, you're looking at me like you don't know what NC-17 is.
I do. I'm just hoping she doesn't talk about it.
No. You know what? I've had so many costumes. The joy of Halloween for me is making my own costume. And another couple of hidden talents that I have, I can actually drape and I can sew. I did work at the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising many years ago. And I am a really, really, really great makeup artist and body painter, as well as face painter. So making up my costumes every year is the joy of Halloween for me. I'm kind of the same way about Christmas. I like to make presents for people to give away. But I've been everything from a sexy stormtrooper to Nicki Minaj to the Indian girl from Hell on Wheels. Last year, I was Daenerys Targaryen from Game of Thrones. This year, I'm going to be Ronda Rousey as well as Cardi B.
Wow.
Yeah. As we wind up, Bob, could I talk you into another short reading to end the show?
Well, I could do a little bit more of that Telltale Heart where we left off.
All righty. That would be fantastic.
Okay.
And I'm going to just let you read until you're finished. I'm gonna be done, and to everyone out there, enjoy your Halloween. Bob, take it away.
Now this is the point. You fancy me mad. Madmen know nothing. But you should have seen me. You should have seen how wisely I proceeded, with what caution, with what foresight with what dissimulation I went to work. I was never kinder to the old man than during the whole week before I killed him. And every night about midnight I turned the latch of his door and opened it. Oh, so gently. And then, when I made an opening sufficient for my head, I put in a dark lantern, all closed, so that no light shone out. And then I thrust in my head. Oh, you would have laughed to see how cunningly I thrust it in. I moved it slowly, very, very slowly, so that I might not disturb the old man's sleep. It took me an hour to place my whole head within the opening, so far that I could see him as he lay upon his bed. Ah, would a madman have been so wise as this? And then, when my head was well in the room, I undid the lantern cautiously. Oh, so cautiously, for the hinges creaked. And I undid it, just so much that a single thin ray fell upon the vulture eye.
For free tips, resources, and information, visit SENSATIONALCustomerExperiences.com, your premier experience brand brought to you by Training for Results, located in the sensory capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Until next time, remember, if you can sense it, your customers can too.